Hey guys, it's Jim from Just Push Play. This Let's Game Ottawa, or Let's Game Ontario, as it now will be, 138 Nitronic Rush. And unfortunately, Nick, he's in Ottawa, I'm in Kingston now, so unfortunately, Nick won't be recording anymore. But so today I have with me Samuel, who plays video games, so maybe introduce yourself a bit, Samuel, and
I'm Samuel and I play video games. What else is there to say? Like,
okay, you like fighting games, so like
yeah,
just give them a bit of your
huge hardcore to the Killer Instinct scene. Those might recognize me from my stream, I'm not 100% sure. Depends if you're an asshole or not, I guess. But yeah, I just pretty much play Killer Instinct, watch a ton of competitive Street Fighter fighting games, all about that. Play a bit of casual, Fallout 4. I like Dark Souls, don't really play it that much, but I appreciate it. Different just AAA titles every now and then.
So anyways, the game we play today, Nitronic Rush, it's sort of like Tron meets a racing game, and you can fly. Yeah, I think that you could sort of tell with the way that they set the game up, like the buildings, everything's sort of neon, so...
Yeah, for sure.
So what was your point of view? You didn't really want to try it, but you watched me play it today.
Yeah,
Samuel.
and before I came here, I researched a bit about it online and watched a lot of gameplay. And it just seems like it doesn't seem like a good coherent gameplay idea.
Right.
It just sounds like it's like almost a proof of concept.
Yeah, I sort of felt like that. Like you saw me playing, I was trying to play, I'm like, oh, how do I get past this like barrier? And then I finally realized, okay, I have to use a jump button. So your car just like jumps up in a very unnatural way, like sort of like you've got pistons or something.
And it's weird too, because like they have really good animations for like the boost and the brake. And you're like,
yeah,
oh, that's really fancy. And for the jump, your car
like,
just like levitates. You're like, what the fuck? Oh, sure. Like, I'm okay with this.
I'll just take it and keep playing. And
but
it just seemed weird. Like all of a sudden your car spouts wings, and you saw like the first time that I tried to fly, it was the most awkward.
Yeah, you're like, what the
Just like Dumbo, I assume like it's sort of like what Dumbo does, like when, I haven't seen Dumbo for years, but like, it's sort of like suddenly you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
And like, I even landed on the side of the building like the third time.
And yeah, it was really like it clearly was like, alright, go here, and you're like, alright, cool. But if you miss the target initially, you're like, well, like the whole screen is like purple and flashing colors, and there was no sense of like, even up or down if you missed your point.
Yeah, like you lose your center of, not gravity, I don't know.
That's a good way of putting it, center of gravity. Like, you lose the sense of up and down.
Yeah, you lose where your positioning is, and it seemed like a cool idea, like, oh, I can fly, but then it's like, it's I think if it was dealt with, like, kind of with Mario Kart, how, like, when you're falling down from a jump, you still have control, but in this, it was sort of like, whee, I'm flying everywhere, and, like, you just couldn't control your car at that point with wings.
And it's not even like a difficult issue to solve. Like they could have even put in as a simple fix like some resonating particle effect that just like always filled down, so that if you thought you were going up and you were traveling in the same direction as your particles, you just like deduce like, oh shit, I'm gonna hit ground really fast.
And that sort of happened. And like I was on the building, so it was sort of like a Millennium Falcon moment. Like where it's sort of attached to the side of the Star Destroyer, spoiler, but I guess 30 years later, and and then suddenly I let go, and then my car just like sort of plonked down, but it was still good. It was sort of like my car was like driving for like 2 seconds, like I flipped off the corner because you can do stunts. That's the other thing. It's sort of like there's another game. I think the original Rush, San Francisco Rush, and the game before. You could do stunts in midair and like you would get points. So that's what, it seemed like a homage almost to that game. And that's what I actually mentioned earlier. But I mean, the way that they deal with you flipping over, like I was driving along for 2 seconds with no tires on the road. So
I even find like just having your car naturally tumble like that really takes away from a lot of the like gameplay experience. Like you're in there and it's crazy colors that hopefully doesn't drive you into a fucking heart attack or seizure or whatever.
Imagine actually being the driver when that happens, and you're like suddenly flying around, and then you hit.
Yeah, like you know when in Star Wars they go into what the fuck hyperdrive or whatever for the first time. And
Oh,
you see Star
hyperspace,
Wars yeah. It's like that, but
Your mind's blown, especially if you were high when you saw Star Wars. But
yeah. So
you'd
like
be like collapsing your popcorn and.
But for your car to just like tumble like that, it's like I was in this realm of like going really fast and dodging all these obstacles and to like upside down like a diseased turtle. And like just I can't do anything. It's like, oh thanks.
I think as a game that they made as students, I don't know exactly how long it took them. I think it was good, and like they patched it, and then they went on to make another game that I've bought, but we haven't done it yet. Distance. So they sort of follow the same idea, but they're more like sports cars.
Right.
But I think for a standalone game that got, from what we saw, 1 million downloads, I think they did really good.
I think
really well.
I mean, it depends. Like, you can have a game that's low funding but presents a unique concept and pulls it off well. Even like, I don't know about the funding behind Fez, but if you wanted to make that game from scratch, like you wouldn't need a whole lot.
Yeah.
But that was a super clever game. It's like a huge new dynamic to puzzle solving. It had really interesting mechanics, but this game just seems like they took the bread and butter formula for the genre of like just hauling ass down a tube and dodging obstacles.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like polished it up with their own like fancy graphics.
Yeah.
But, like it didn't present anything new or intriguing or anything that made me be like, oh, that's really cool. It was just like neat. Like
I think it's the context though. Like, to be fair, like if I made that game, I would be super impressed with myself.
True.
If it came out on Steam, I'd be like, wow, this is a great game for $5. But if it was like a $40 game, I would agree, like totally. I'd be like, okay, this game needs more work.
Yeah, there's got to be some more to this.
More controls.
I would even say, like, for your argument, yeah, for the fact that it's free, like it's a good game. Because
and they released it for free,
yeah, like you're getting what, 100% return on that, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, even if it was like, if it was $5, I would compare it to the Steam store and be like, is there a better game I can buy for $5? Yes.
Yes.
The answer is absolutely.
Yeah, it's all about context, I think.
Yeah.
Really. So I thought it was sort of fun. I wouldn't say it sounds
It was
weird.
sort of fun.
Sort of fun.
That means it was shit.
I don't think it was total. Like I think it was. The presentation was really cool, but I think if they, I don't know if they ran out of time to fix some of the controls, but just the flying seems too flimsy, and like you kept seeing me like hit the wall or like I'd flip over and then I'd have to like reverse and like.
Yeah, dude, you look like my grandma.
And it wasn't like, Mario Kart's not like that. Like, yeah, you occasionally screw up, you fall off Rainbow Road, but like if you're constantly like stuck and you're like, wait, it said I'm going the wrong way, but then that disappeared, so am I still going the right way? And that's actually how I felt. I'm like, am I going the right way? So sometimes I would reverse and I'd fall off the road. So there wouldn't be a constant, and I think just little things like that would have really improved the experience.
Yeah, I mean, just gameplay-wise, there's a lot of polish that still needs to be done on it.
Mm-hmm.
You could even, to further the comparison between that game and Mario Kart, like, with Mario Kart, it really incentivizes doing tricks and stuff. Because when you hit the ground, you get a huge boost, and you're like, oh shit, that was really helpful.
And the latest one, if I remember correctly, it's how you jump when you jump, gets you that little boost.
It's
and all those add up.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that was.
I think it's the Wii U one. I haven't played it for a while, but like if you go off the ramp and you hit the button, jump on it at a certain time, Mario will go like woohoo, and like you get benefits from knowing that.
Sure. But in this game, like you do a trick and it's like you did it. It's like
you got points.
Like that doesn't mean anything. It's like the participation award you get when you're fucking.
Well, it says like I don't remember what it says specific, but it's sort of like killer. Like sort of like almost a KI voice, but not as like
not as
edgy.
Good.
Yeah, it was like someone fixed up the personal voice.
Yeah, I mean to be honest though, the voiceover wasn't bad. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
for its production value, it's like, hey, that was a good job.
Yeah, I think if they had more time to implement this into a sequel or like just polished it up more, I think it really goes to show like how much polish
Yeah,
goes into a game can really make
for sure.
or break a game. So I think it was fun, but there were just too many times where it was trial and error. And I think in a racing game, personally, I don't think a racing game should be like that.
Even in terms of like replayability or incentive to pick it up like a year later or whatever, it doesn't have that. Like, to like any competitive game, right? The incentive to pick it up is to get better. Or in the case of like Skyrim, Fallout 4, The Witcher, Grand Theft Auto,
Yeah.
it's because you're like, I can go back into this huge world and I've missed something, or I have a new idea that I
Or
want
I
to
could
try.
buy an airplane or crash an airplane. Or something.
Exactly.
And Nitronic Rush is sort of like, I can get more points. And
Yeah,
I pass this
I can
point
beat
where
the course
kept-
1/5 of a second faster. I know I can. It's like, who cares?
Yeah. And when with that competitive part, like other people have to care about the competition in it. And
Yeah,
if that's not
for
there,
sure.
it's like you post on the board like I got, 13,000 points in Nitronic Rush. Someone's like, good for you. Like
yeah,
that would
congratulations.
be sort of the response.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that was why like competitive games, like Street Fighter, right? The whole reason that's intriguing is because if somebody beats Daigo, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
he
there's
beat
that,
Daigo.
just that whole like, okay, this guy's the best.
Yeah, it's
Just be the
crazy.
best.
But that doesn't
But like
happen.
Nitronic Rush, it's not like I got 500 more points. Like
Yeah.
just keep playing this game. It's
Especially I can get 501. Like, it's not bad.
it also feels like, despite all the flash and the way it's marketed, it's sort of missing that like sort of not genuineness, but the soul of the game. Like Mario Kart, when you play Mario Kart, yeah,
Yeah.
it feels a little bit hollow.
No,
That's
I
what I
did-
find.
I did not think about that as a really, yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, so it sort of feels like,
It feels like they watched Far Cry Blood Dragon, and they're like, let's make a racing game that's kind of like this, and that's what they did. Mind you, this game came out before Blood Dragon.
I think so. I was gonna say that, but
It's not the analogy, it's the point that's there. Like,
yeah. So I, as I said, I think the best way to describe it is sort of fun, but just having to screw up that many times, and then you're like, am I going reverse? Am I going forward? And then you realize you're reversing back off the track. Like that was like the moment that sort of defined the game for me. Like, oh, I crashed into the barrier again. It's like so low, so bad, or whatever they said. And it's
so
like,
bad, yeah. No, you nailed it. 100%.
yeah, so I liked it, but I mean, I couldn't recommend people, like, it's not a must play.
Here's when I would recommend it, is you get to the airport and your flight's been delayed by an hour or whatever, and you want to kill an hour. Even that, sorry, if your flight has been delayed 5 minutes, and you need 5 minutes because you can't stand the thoughts in your own fucking head, and you're like, alright, I just gotta do something or whatever, this would be a good game for that. Any other scenario, if you're carrying around a laptop that's suitable for games, like there's just plenty of other titles that just do the job better.
Yeah, I don't think it really stands out. Like, I think after today, I will not remember, like, what made it so distinctive, because it didn't seem to have that personality. I think that's the word I was looking for before. Personality. It doesn't have a distinctive personality, despite the look is somewhat different.
I'll give them credit on the look, just because it's like, it's an immediate drawing, but there's not, it's like fishing.
Yeah.
They've got good bait, but they don't have really strong string, right?
Okay.
Like, they're gonna attract something, but they're not gonna keep it on the line for very long.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it's something that you would, I think you would play it and then install it shortly thereafter. It's
Pretty
nothing,
much.
it doesn't have the replayability.
Yeah, for sure.
So, well, that's how I feel. Did you have any other thoughts? Or you
Yeah,
want
fuck that game.
Okay, well that's 2 fucks down.
2 fucks down. No fucks, nobody fucks up.
Yeah. Alright, well we're gonna wrap it up for the first time, and we'll be back next week playing, I think it's Science Combat, I don't remember.
What was that? Is that
Fighting game,
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I've tried it, and it's funny.
Is it like good, or is it just like cosmetic?
We'll find out next week, I guess. So, anyways, guys, well, that's Samuel. Thanks for helping and
You're welcome.
the analogies and everything. And yeah, we'll be back next week. So keep on gaming, guys. And Samuel, any final thoughts? Fuck that game.
Fuck that game.
Okay. All right. See you guys next week.